Hi, everyone. Mr. Lavasser with you. And we have a vocabulary and writing guide lesson for our talk about the definition of science. So please take that out right now. Okay, so if you've clicked on the link that will be here, you're watching this video. And so this is a support lesson for our larger lesson on the definition of science. And what we're doing is we're introducing some words that make up the field of knowledge, like entity, which in science means a thing, and process, which in science means an action, properties, which are the descriptions of things, circumstances, which are where and how and when things happen, science, the systematic and rational study of nature, math, the science of numbers and number systems, and the concept of scale, the idea of dividing nature into smaller and smaller pieces to better understand nature. So I'm going to read each of these words and then provide you with time to speak them yourself. First word is entity. Second word, process. Third word, properties. Fourth word, circumstance. Fifth word, science. Sixth word, math. Seventh word or term, concept of scale. Now I know that this is all very easy for all of you, but I want to get used to how we're going to study vocabulary and how we're going to use an understanding of academic language to better understand science. So bear with me on these early lessons as we get used to learning how to learn using language. So section 2, listen to the teacher read the definition for each term, word, idiom, or phrase. Read them aloud yourself. Remember, English words often have many meanings. The definitions here match the words as they're being used in this lesson. So I'm going to read the 7 sentences for each of the words, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video that we're watching now and then read them through yourself, and we'll pick it up on section 3. So sentence number 1 for entity. The material things that make up, these are the definitions. The entity, the material things that make up the natural world. Entity, AKA participant. And we use the type of words called nouns for entities. Next, 2, process. Process, the actions and changes that we observe over time. And the type of words there would be verbs. The 4 most common verbs you're going to see in science writing are going to be is, are, has, and have. There'll be many other verbs, but those are the relational verbs that connect one idea to another. And sure, like is actually means equals. So there's a lot of that in science, or when they define a word, is or are will be used. 3, properties, the characteristics or descriptions of entities. And the type of words there will be adjectives. Circumstance, the context or situation of where, when, and how events happen. And the type of words that will make up the circumstances will be prepositions, when it's where or when, and adverbs when it will explain how something is done. Science, the definition of science is the systematic and rational study of nature. Examples, biology, chemistry, and physics. 6, math, the abstract science of number, quantity, and space. Math describes things in nature. 7, the concept of scale, the idea of dividing nature into smaller pieces to compare different sizes. So you can pause the video now and read those definitions. Section 3, instructions. Listen to the teacher read the sentences using term, word, idiom, or phrase aloud. Read them aloud yourself. Identify the lesson's vocabulary words, highlighting them with yellow. So as we read these sentences that have the words built into them, the vocabulary words built into them, I'd like you to highlight the word with yellow. So again, I'm going to read through this and then you can pause the video and go through it yourself. 1. Scientists discovered that the entity in the experiment was made of rock and fungus. 2. Photosynthesis is the process of changing light energy into chemical energy. 3. Making observations, the scientists listed the properties of the entity as metallic, shiny, and easily dented. 4. For gas, the experiment, the circumstances were freezing temperature of 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere of pressure. 5. The Greek philosopher Aristotle invented science as a study of nature by dividing nature into smaller and smaller pieces, then comparing the different sizes. 6. After collecting data from the experiment, the scientist used math skills to write an equation and make a graph to show the experiment's results. 7. Aristotle's idea of dividing nature into smaller and smaller pieces, then comparing the different sizes, is called the concept of scale. Anytime someone divides something up to better understand the entity and then compares the parts, they are using the concept of scale. In section 4, you're going to match the word with the proper definition. So for example, entity, we know that entities are things or stuff. They're made of nouns. So if I go down here to definition F, the material things that make up the natural world, nouns. So I'm going to cover over some of that line, and I'm going to type in F for sentence F, and I'd like you to finish those, please. Section 5, I'm introducing the idea of using PEEL, P-E-E-L, when you're answering open response questions. The PEEL pattern is a good way to answer open responses when you're giving informative explanations. So section 5, study the image below, and there's the image. Study the image below with your group. You'll be writing many open responses answers as a student. Here is a basic and common way to organize a good open response answer. You should write at least 4 sentences with clear subjects and predicates. The predicates should start with verbs or action words. The most common verbs used in science are is, are, has, and have. These verbs create relationships. All right, so let's read through this. P, in the first sentence, make or present your point. Answer, idea or answer, and build the question or prompt into the sentence. Be sure to use academic language in your answers. Next, E, in the second sentence, explain or define your point or idea. Next, E, in the third sentence, provide an example, such as citing textual evidence or a real-world example. You may add another sentence here to elaborate on your point. So this second E sometimes can be 2 sentences. You give your evidence or your example, and then you might want to elaborate, give more information to your reader. And the last sentence is L. In the final sentence, link your point to the whole essay or connect your point to the next paragraph. Link your point to the evidence. So you want to connect what your ideas all together. And if you're having a multi-paragraph essay, you want to connect one paragraph to the next paragraph. So let's look at the image. RACE is another way to remember how to organize an open response. R stands for restate the prompt or question. A is answer in your own words with academic language. C is cite textual evidence as an example. And 4 is explain the facts or your opinion. And so the RACE or race fits in with the PEEL pattern because when you present your idea in the first sentence of the PEEL, you're going to restate the prompt. The second sentence is going to be the explanation, where you usually can just give a definition for your explanation. The third sentence is going to be an example, and you can cite evidence from the text, or you can just give a real world example. And then the last one is you're going to link the facts or opinion to the whole essay or to your next point. PEEL. Present, explain, example, link. RACE, race. Restate the prompt, answer with academic language, cite textual evidence, and explain the facts. So here I have a sample text in section 6. And what you're going to do is you're going to get out your highlighter, and you're going to highlight the P sentence, the E sentence, the E sentence, and the L sentence with different colors. So for example, instructions, read and discuss the following informative explanation. This text is a model or sample for you to use when writing a simple informative explanation paragraph based on the PEEL pattern. Our prompt, explain the concept of scale used in science. P sentence. Aristotle's concept of scale is the foundation of what science is based on. So we've presented our idea, and that would get pink, because that is the P sentence. The concept of scale is the idea of dividing nature into smaller and smaller pieces and then comparing and organizing those pieces. What sentence is that? An example of the concept of scale. You see how that word example gets built in often into that sentence? An example of the concept of scale is seen by how scientists divide nature into 3 areas for study: biological sciences, physical sciences, earth and space sciences. So we have all of nature, and scientists divide that up into 3 things: the study of life, the study of forces, motions, and matter and energy, physics and chemistry. And then they divide the last one up into the study of Earth and stars, planets, solar systems. That's Earth and space science. So we divide all of nature into those 3 areas and study them. And so our last sentence, the concept of scale is used by scientists to divide nature so that they can better understand nature. And I'd like you to highlight each of the sentences for the PEEL pattern. And you'll notice that I've used the same colors here that I've asked you to highlight here. Thank you so much for your attention and your hard work. I look forward to seeing your finished products here.